Guys, be quiet. Mario's trying to sleep. There are no beds in this castle. Princess Peach doesn't believe in AirBnB, so she makes him sleep on the floor.
Welcome back to my 100th Let's Play series. Today we're just going to run here and open up the door to Whomp's fortress. What? And we have everything we need to do a full clear of this. I tried to long jump into the painting, and instead I just crawled into the banister like a schnook. We have everything we need to do a full clear of this level. Actually, we're not going to have to split up any other levels as we go. We pretty much just go into a level until we have all 7 stars. There are 7 stars in each level. There are 15 levels, and then there are 15 castle secret stars. And if you add all that up together, something, 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 math, 120 stars. That's about how it works out in practice. And Whomp's Fortress is a pretty hard level. If you... I mean, that sounds stupid to say now. Oh, really? I'm not going to get on my elevator there? It's not stupid to say now in 2019 when I'm recording this, but back in the day when 3D games weren't a thing, really, like, yeah, this was a hard level. Getting used to all the stuff. Like, you could actually fall into a hole in this level. There are tricky corners and things you have to use the camera to see around properly. This is the one and only speedrun trick I know, is that Whomp does not have any tangibility when you are in your ground pound animation. So instead of trying to make him hit the ground, then jump onto his back, then ground pound on his back, you can just ground pound and he'll fall through you, then you'll land on his back. That's the only thing I know how to do in this game. And I feel like I've been doing that for years. I feel like I used to do that back in the day when I played this game, back in the 90s. That wasn't, probably discovered it by accident. But I also have, a very vivid recollection of not seeing that until watching a speedrun of this game. So, I don't know. Either I knew it and then forgot it and then learned it again, or my brain has concocted a false memory of me doing a speedrun trick back in the 1990s. One of those two things is true. I don't think it's beyond the pale to suggest that that's something that people knew how to do back in the day, but I actually don't know. What I do know is that there is quite a lot of backtracking in this game. They made sure to get a lot of value out of each individual level. They couldn't make the big sprawling levels that the series became known for. They didn't quite have what it took on the N64 to do a Mario Galaxy or a Mario Odyssey level. So what they did is they made these small self-contained levels and then found ways to make traversing them more interesting. I think they mostly succeeded, but the thing you have to remember is that when the Nintendo 64 was a brand new console, just running around the 3D worlds was such a novelty that it was probably enough. It was probably enough just to have the level where you can run around. In fact, the first map of the game isn't even in the castle. It's out in front of the castle, which is just this big, huge map with lots of trees and water, but no way to actually endanger yourself. There's no actual obstacles or enemies out there. We need to shoot right about here. Hit that wall. And slide on down to the star. Zoom the camera in here so I can actually see the star, see what I'm doing. So they made sure that the first section of the game was this big, just empty, not empty, but friendly space, just for you to run around with the controls. And is this where I want to do my 100 coins? Yeah, this is where I want to do 100 coins. Okay, so let's do 100 coins. What we have to do is sneak up on this guy. Real slow-like. I'm not actually playing this on an N64. I'm playing this on my Wii U. I have this game on the Wii U Virtual Console. It is the last Virtual Console game I ever bought from Nintendo, and it's probably the last one I will ever buy, but I don't want to I don't know. I want to segue so early into this video into yet another negative rant about Nintendo. So let's go back to the story that I was telling. The N64's control stick is not the best, probably because it's like the first control stick anybody ever made. And as a result, actually getting Mario to sneak like this is very difficult. Like, you barely touch the stick at all to get him to... And the N64 also did not have a second control stick. There was not a right stick on the N64. What you had instead to control your camera were the C buttons. You had 4 yellow buttons, a C up, down, left, and right button. So instead of using the control stick to swivel the camera in this game moves in very discrete patterns each time you tap the button. And here's where I always screw up, is I'm so used to playing the game on the N64 where, like, if I want to swivel one step to the right, I tap the left C button. You know, or that makes sense, right? Because the camera's going to swivel the opposite direction that you push. Here's the problem. You get used to that in the N64 game, so your thumb is landing on, say, the left button in order to swivel your camera in the direction you want it to go. But in order to move a control stick to the left, I have to touch the right side of the control stick to move it left. So as a result of that, every time I play this game with a controller that has an actual control stick, typically the way I used to play it was on an Xbox 360 controller and an N64 emulator back in the day. I just fell in the hole. You know what? We're going to end up with so many 1-ups in this game. I think it's ridiculous to have the 1-up counter on screen. Let's just replace it. Let's not have a 1-up counter. We're going to have so many lives anyway. Just go ahead and throw a death counter up there. There you go. Enjoy that. I need you to go back to sleep. I'm going to go collect these coins. When I come back, you better be napping again. So, as a result, like, every time I go to play this game now that we have controllers with control sticks, it feels like my camera controls are always the wrong direction. So, like, I always end up moving the camera one step the wrong direction before moving it the direction I actually want it to go. Because to move the camera in the direction I want it to go, my thumb has to go the exact opposite side that my muscle memory says it ought to go. That's my sad story about how I don't know how to use the camera in Mario 64 anymore. The other problem is, of course, a control stick has 360 degrees of motion, and the C buttons didn't. So what happens is, if you're using in order to move the camera a lot in this game, you have to tap the C button several times. 1 step per hit. 1 step per button press. But with a control stick, you pretty much just push it once and get the camera in position. That's how we're used to doing it today. So what happens in Mario 64, if I want to move the camera several steps, I gotta tap the control stick several steps in succession, but because it's a 360 degree control stick, what actually ends up happening is I might tap the control stick slightly up or down, which Mario 64 reads as a C up or down, which is my zoom in and zoom out buttons here. These are all just minor nitpicks and have nothing to do with the game itself. This is all just a matter of, the game predates actual camera controls like we're used to today. That's the only problem. The camera controls are actually excellent considering this was 1996 and nobody knew what they were doing yet. Easily better than a lot of even modern games that I've played. You can get up to that floating island if you're a speedrunner and you're good, but I'm neither of those things, so that's not happening for me. All I'm trying to do now is collect 100 coins, because you get a star for 100 coins in each level. And some of the levels, that's fine. Some of the levels, the 100 coin star, I think is actually fun to collect. Other levels, it's a big pain in the butt. Actually, 2 of my favorite stars in the game are 100 coin stars. Neither of them are in Whomp's Fortress, though. We'll get to see them later. Oh, I fell. That's not good. Can I get this coin here? Hold on, I think I can get up here. Let's get the camera behind me. Yeah, okay, and then we just slide down. You can press the jump button to arrest your motion when you're sliding backwards like that. The problem is if you do that with enough speed, you do this backflip jump. And that particular ramp just happens to be situated by a death pit. So more times than I would like to admit, I've come sliding down that ramp, tried to stop my slide early by jumping out of it, and just ended up backflip jumping to my death. This actually should be 100 coins right there. Beautiful.
Here we go!
However, as you can see, we've only got 6 red coins. The last 2 red coins are up on top of the fortress. That's where we're headed now. I think Mario 64 might be the best example of a game that hasn't aged really gracefully, but still remains incredibly popular. Typically, when a game hasn't aged really well, it doesn't get played a whole lot. But it's very rare to find people who won't play this game because of how archaic it is. Not impossible, of course. Let's see. There's one. I think there's 2 red coins this way. This is still one of the most popular games on... Can I... Here, let's get Mario. There we go. I want the camera behind Mario here. But Lakitu does not want to cooperate, so... And this game really hasn't aged well. If you're looking at things objectively, if you're not looking at things through the eyes of a 1996 fanboy, which I absolutely am, and I make no apologies for, why would I? Strictly speaking, like, the polygons are very low, low polygon count, low-res textures, ahoy. The levels are very simplistic compared to modern Mario games. The controls and the camera both leave quite a bit to be desired. If you're comparing it to something like Mario 3D World or Mario Galaxy even, which have just sublime cameras. It's one of my least favorite stars in the game. What I've got to do is fly around this tower and then try to land on this caged island. And again, there's a speedrun way to do this, but I don't know how. So we're just going to try and get in there. That's how you do it. Nailed it. Hashtag first try. But it's not like what's a good counter example? Like something like Donkey Kong 64. You don't see a lot of love for that game nowadays. It definitely has its fans, but it's not a game that people really come here, come back here. It's not a game that people tend to revere. It's a game that people like. Maybe because it wasn't the trailblazer that Mario 64 was. But it's very, very rare to find somebody who just outright doesn't appreciate Mario 64. Can I get in there now? Beautiful. Thank you.
Here we go!
Because even if you look at the old 2D Mario games, even if you look at Super Mario Brothers, Mario 3, Mario World, those kind of games, the problem there is that pixel art ages a lot better than these low polygons do. So you can still look at like Mario World or even Super Mario Brothers and appreciate the aesthetic of it. I think I had to look this star up on the internet, actually. I missed the wall! Oh, Canon, why have you betrayed me? Whereas the aesthetic of Mario 64 is just, like, crappy graphics. Like, that's not what they were going for, clearly, but... And at the time, they were very impressive, but... polygons just don't age as well as pixels. But because this game was a trailblazer, because it was kind of the first of its kind, and because it, like... launched not only a new genre of game, but, like, an entire class of consoles, almost. Mario 64 deservedly has its place in history and remains one of the most popular games to this day. So maybe I'm not doing anybody any favors by Let's Playing it, but that's what's happening, and it's going to continue to happen in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Shoutouts to Tyr McDole for sponsoring this video, and to everybody who helps make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.